Gordon Ramsay is here for the hour. The point of my programme today is for people to find out more about you. Obviously, you've got the new book out at the moment, Playing with Fire, which goes into great detail about your business side. I want to find out about you, though. What were you like as a child?
As a child, always enjoying my food. I mean, honestly, I could eat like a horse. And I was determined, emotional. My mum became my sort of best friend early on, and incredibly active, very sportive, always out the house. I suppose also on the back of sort of my father's sort of stance with his music and playing his lead guitar and singing country and western music, it bored the pants off me. Then the steel guitar came in, and that made me even more cringeworthy. So I was the kind of guy that was dying to get out of the house. Obsessed with football, loved staying fit, and would rarely be at home, to be honest. If I wasn't at home, I'd be around a friend's house kicking a ball up close, against the wall.
Can you remember the first moment where you became interested in food?
I can really. We were going up the M6 from Daventry. We lived in several addresses. It wasn't the most sort of pleasant of upbringings in terms of settled. We were always moving around every 18 months. Anyway, we're in Daventry and we're travelling up on the M6 up to Port Glasgow to go and see our gran. And Mum had made some bread and butter pudding. Because we were running late, we had to take it in the car. So I just remember sat with this tray of bread and butter pudding, and as we went into petrol stations, motorway service stations, they would get the drinks, and we weren't allowed to go out in these cafes because they were too expensive. So we used to sit sort of munching away on this tray of bread and butter pudding, and that's when I started to really seriously enjoy what the comfort of her rustic home cooking was all about. So that was that, and then after that would be like a sort of the next time round would be like the most amazing soup, but it was like a ham hock soup with barley. And you think of how good barley is for it. We don't use that today. It's like dumplings, on the back of the pasta phenomenon, and how everyone's excited about gnocchi and tagliatelle and tortellinis and raviolis and spaghetti. No one eats dumplings anymore. So a lamb stew, a ham hock soup with barley and dumplings. I mean, that was fantastic stuff.
How did that then manifest into you wanting to be a chef? It's not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination. Every chef I've ever interviewed works about 20 hours a day, literally.
No, it wasn't an easy life at all. To be honest, food found me by way of an accident. The smashed cartilage and then the horrific injury of cruciate ligament. When you're released from your dream, and I remember coming out of that office and absolutely holding it in, about to bawl my eyes out the fact that I'd just been released by Rangers, my dream. You start getting frustrated with your girlfriend. She gets frustrated with you. She calls you irritable. I call her irritable, and then we separate. And then Mum and Dad are going through a divorce at the same time. Where'd you go? I went to see a careers officer back down in Banbury, and then I got into a HND foundation course. It was a special course, a foundation course in catering, and that's how it started. I couldn't afford to go full-time as a student. We didn't have the money. I needed to work, so I worked in the industry in a little place outside Stratford-on-Avon called the Roxton House Hotel, and then I went to college 1 day a week and worked 7 days a week, and going to college was like a day off because it was so easy, out of the realms of running this country pub, restaurant, hotel. So that's when I got excited, and at the age of 18, 19, I was excited because I knew what I was cooking at the time was so wrong, yet I couldn't wait to do it so right.
Going back to a few things you've said, once you'd got the dream of getting the Rangers contract, how did you manage to turn that disaster into something positive? Most people, and I've interviewed footballers in their early 20s who have suddenly had the dream crushed in the same way that yours was. Mm-hmm. What gave you the strength to want to fight on and find another path and not just give up on life?
Yeah, I think it was on the back of my parents' divorce, and it was going really pear-shaped between Mum and Dad, and Mum was being badly treated. So I used their situation, combined with my hurt and upset in football, to completely annihilate myself. And you can't submerge yourself in your father's problems, because then it reflects on you later on in life. And I was never going to become a burden for his level of incompetence, in a way that what he was acting and doing and how bad he was becoming, it was never going to affect me. So I wanted to get out of it completely, and I took one good look at myself and said, look, now it's do or die. You get out and you do it, or you're going to sit here and suffocate in amongst their level of depression. situation. And, God bless her, Mum was strong, determined, and she was the one that said, look, do yourself a favour, disappear. Things have gone really bad between your father and I. He's not a pleasant guy, and, he resents you more than he resents me. Get out the house and basically get lost. And that's how I found it and turned it around. Didn't turn to drink, didn't turn to drugs, just found myself in food and then worked like a donkey to get what I did today.
It's amazing how there was no self-pity there at all. That is remarkable.
No, I mean, even when things go wrong today, Alex, I don't sit there and massage. I don't massage myself. I don't massage my chefs. I don't massage the management. It's straight to the point. Look, that was dreadful. That's not good enough. Let's move on. Don't question me in the middle of it. Talk to me at the end of the evening, but don't dare ever disrupt me from what I'm trying to tell you now. Listen, absorb it, and that's the secret of becoming good at what you're doing. Having the tenacity to listen and take it, absorb it, and move on. It's nothing personal.
That one day a week that you spent at college, were you always extraordinary in your understanding of food and your passion for it compared to the other students?
And honestly, whether it was a tomato rose or a crab made out of a cucumber or a carving out of a carrot or making the most amazing bechamel sauce, trust me, I wanted my bay leaves studied perfectly with my cloves. I wanted the milk beautifully seasoned. I wanted my flour and the roux cooked out beautifully. And even if I was making, a simple, strawberry tart, I wanted the pastry crisp and thin, the pastry cream with no lumps in there, and the glaze on my strawberries nice and thin that didn't clog the taste of a strawberry. So, yeah, I mean, even then, I was so meticulous. The Practical Cookery book by Victor Cesarani that we all got given as our Bible, I promise you now, that used to go to bed with me. I used to tuck it under my pillow, absorb a recipe, and then wake up the next day and think, right, read it off. And if I'd forgotten a bouquet garni, a bunch of parsley, one onion finely chopped, I would kick myself. So I pushed myself. I started at the beginning of the book and ended literally 2 years later with every recipe digested, regurgitated, and in my head.